Pitbike 140's race number 2 coming up next. Another popular class here at FAB-Racing, and a class that always provides great racing, and a class that has a tendency to spring surprises on occasions. And one surprise this weekend was when reigning champion Chris Wells turned up. Of course, he's not doing a full campaign this season. We thought that when he did turn up, it was just a very, sudden appearance. Hello, Chris Wells, good to see you. He's only been at 2 rounds, took 2 second places at Lid, finishing second to British Talent Cup rider Lucas Brown, then took a race win at Three Sisters in race number 1, and then went off to go on holiday. But he's here this weekend at Rowrah and sitting on the pole position, which is not what second place rider Jamie King would want to see.
No, absolutely not. Of course, Chris Wells was smashing it yesterday, took the win in race 1 ahead of Jamie King, who of course took his double victory at Three Sisters after Chris Wells' absence for the first time in a number of years, and he's going to be looking to try and challenge Chris Wells in race number 2. Of course, Jamie King on the high of Three Sisters, looking to continue that form into this weekend and go for another victory, because of Lucas Brown and Chris Wells' absence, Jamie King's been consistent and at the moment leads the championship by a healthy margin.
Well, Jamie King is a 3-time Pitbike 140 champion. Could there be a 4th in 2024? I mean, he's already technically a 5-time FAB-Racing champion if you include the Moto team titles that he's had when he used to have part ownership of Team Pinky and the Brain back in the day. So maybe he'll be adding a 6th ring to his finger. But we'll wait and see. The riders are on the grid as someone very politely sticks their head in front of our camera shot. But that's not going to take away from the drama and the tension. It's reigning champion Chris Wells on pole, Jamie King alongside, and Keaton PAYNE starts in P3. What can the 112 do? Keaton PAYNE, he's been looking racy all season long. Maybe today is the day he takes it to the top. It's lights out, we're on the way. Big wheelie there from Keaton PAYNE, but a good start. Jamie King a little bit slow of a reaction there. Chris Wells will hold the lead coming through the chicane. Pitbike Sonic trying desperately to chase him down as they rocket down into McRae's hairpin. Wells leaves the inside a little bit open, but King doesn't take the bait, decides to stay where he was for the time being as they climb back up the hill. Of course, these bigger bikes, these gear bikes, no issue whatsoever that the Minimotos have with the gravity and that hill. They could just power on up and not face any issues. Now down into the bottom end of the circuit, whipping your way around. Get onto the throttle as soon as you can. One of the best things about pit bikes in Rowrah is using those big front suspension arms to ride the curbs and ride off onto the runoff areas. They will be using all of the track and then some as Keaton PAYNE almost takes it into the gravel. It'll be Chris Wells who leads that one. Jamie King right in tow. Keaton PAYNE rounds out our podium, but he's having to hold off Bailey Lawrence and Sean Whittaker.
Yeah, indeed. So he's under pressure, but Chris Wells, Jamie King breaking away out in front. Jamie King trying to apply the pressure to Chris Wells, and is doing a fantastic job. They're equidistant in terms of pace, both of them looking very, very strong indeed. In fact, actually, technically, Jamie King was quicker that last time by because of when he crossed the timeline and started the lap. He was actually slightly quicker than Chris Wells. So with 11 laps left to go, Jamie King, could he be favourite to win, or can Chris Wells hold him off?
Time will tell. King and Wells have had many, many battles over many, many years. Of course, great friends off of the racing circuit, and occasionally great friends off it when they're having a laugh. But they know how to battle, to put it politely, and they know each other inside and out as well, which becomes a bit of a problem if you're Jamie King, because when you're hunting down another rider and that rider knows you so well, knows exactly what you're going to do, exactly what moves you're going to try and make, you have to think outside of the box. You have to try and produce something different, which can be very, very difficult to do at a circuit like Rowrah. So Jamie King, right now, the pressure, I'd say, is more on him than Chris Wells, because he's going to have to come up with something that Chris Wells isn't expecting him to do, and come up with something simply magical to try and work his way through here at Rowrah. But he's still keeping Chris Wells very honest, still on the tail of the number 1. And Pitbike Sonic, the championship leader in P2, still doing a great job. Again, I don't think Jamie would complain about second place, not when he's, taken some race wins this season, his first race wins in a long, long time. But, he wants that win. He's a racer at heart. He wants to get out there and stand on the top of the podium at the end of the day.
He's not yet beaten Chris Wells this season. So he wants to go and do that. That's the aim. He always wanted to do it on merit. Of course, he did win those 2 races at Three Sisters, but he's yet to beat Chris Wells in a 1-to-1 battle. This is the perfect opportunity to do so. He's setting the pace. They're virtually matched. 53.143 versus a 53.085 from Chris Wells to Jamie King. 9 laps left to run. Behind that, of course, it's Keaton PAYNE, Bailey Lawrence and Sean Whittaker, the top 5. There is that battle. Keaton PAYNE, the 1-1-2, leading the 9 and the 12. So a beautiful battle, it must be said, for that final place on the podium. But all eyes on Chris Wells and Jamie King. Both are champions, both are titans in pit bike racing, and both of them won victory for race 2.
Bailey Lawrence has a little bit of a look to the inside coming down into the Stewart corner. A little bit too far back, but just testing the waters, seeing if Keaton PAYNE would maybe respond. Doing a great job at the moment is Bailey again. She's come on such a long way over the last few years in her abilities, and it's great to see her consistently fighting for podiums now in the pit bike 140s. And well, she's fighting for another one in this one. Let's see if she's able to climb onto the podium, or if the number 1-1-2 of Keaton PAYNE can hold off, can keep her behind. But Bailey is fast and she is ferocious, and she is certainly going to give it a good go. Sean Whittaker, I think I made just a small mistake on the previous tour. He's dropped back just a little bit there, but now he's gained up all that time coming through the Craze hairpin as they climb the hill up to Airedales. Again, when it's raining, that part of the racetrack so slippy, which defies science, because you'd think it's the top of the circuit, it's the highest point, you'd think all the water would fall away from it, but that's actually where it gets really wet, bizarrely. I'm not sure how that one works. If
when in Cumbria.
Yeah, when in Cumbria, I suppose. If there's any meteorologists watching along who'd like to explain, please do. But right now it's not raining, the sun is out, and the racing is good. Chris Wells still leads from Jamie King. Keaton PAYNE, as it stands, just about holding off Bailey Lawrence, but this battle is getting very feisty.
And of course, as the laps tick down, the pressure begins to rise. Wells versus King will know that full well. Wells actually able to pull out a good couple of tenths of a second. 7 laps to go at the line. There's the 1-1-2, the 9 and the 12. That's Keaton PAYNE from Bailey Lawrence and Sean Whittaker. The battle for the podium, of course, the prestige that comes with getting yourself inside that top 3, and of course the all-important championship points that come with it. Look at the difference in lines going through that second hairpin. The 1-1-2 of Keaton PAYNE really prioritising getting that power down, whereas Bailey Lawrence prioritising that exit. In fact, actually the number 9 is able to do a bit of both. A decent exit, a tight line in, and get that power delivery on the exit. And she's really now starting to hammer in that pressure as we tick towards 6 laps left to run in race 2 of the PB 140 Championship of FAB-Racing. Bailey Lawrence, that pressure on Keaton PAYNE is going absolutely nowhere. Great lap just been put in by Chris Wells, a 52.746, a good couple of tenths off the lap record, but now he's extended that margin to Jamie King to well over a second and a half.
Chris Wells is doing what Chris Wells does, laying down the gauntlet, and King, as it stands, unable to respond in race number 2 of round 4. Of course, round 5 yet to come this weekend as well. 6 races for all of the classes in this battle for 3rd place. Keaton PAYNE still holds on to the podium. Bailey Lawrence still putting the pressure on. Sean Whittaker watching, waiting patiently, just a little bit further behind, seeing if anything has happened. There we do see, though, reigning champion Chris Wells. That championship, it must be said, last year, it was a long time coming. He's been at the top of the pit bike game for many years now here at FAB-Racing, and last year, well, it was just when everything came together and he absolutely dominated. Of course, taking that number 1 plate off of Rossi Banham as well, who did a great ceremony. Actually, the pit bike guys, they're all a great bunch of guys, great friends off track, and all hang out together. And when Chris Wells did win the championship, they sprayed him with champagne on the circuit and threw things at him, and then Rossi Banham gave him the number 1 plate. Really heartfelt stuff, to be fair. And well, I might have got our camera a little bit wet actually, so maybe that wasn't the best, but still, he had a great year last year. And again, he's not running a full campaign this season, but still, he's doing a fantastic job at the moment. Now, the 3 races he's run so far, he's run, not including yesterday's action, second in the first 2 in Lid to Lucas Brown, 1 race run at Three Sisters, 1 yesterday, so he's got a 50% win rate, 100% podium rate. I mean, the guy's just very good, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Funnily enough, he's got that number 1 plate for a reason, and after today it will become 3 wins if he's able to, of course, take victory. Still an opportunity for him to come off, still 4 laps left to go. If he is able to take victory, that's a 60% win rate from 5 races, and the other 40% are P2s. Not really bad going at all. Chris Wells, Jamie King and Lucas Brown really have been sort sort of setting it alight in PP140 so far this year. There is, of course, the 76 of Jamie King, who has been falling back uncharacteristically relative to sort of the first couple laps. I don't know, maybe there might be a slight issue or whatever. Maybe it is just a lack of consistency, and Chris Wells has just turned up that wick, and while Jamie King was getting maybe slightly slower or even sort of staying the same pace, Chris Wells was actually getting quicker and quicker as the laps went on, and unfortunately Jamie King couldn't match it. Who's that though?
I believe that's Sean Whittaker, maybe, who's had an off there, and indeed it was Sean Whittaker running off the circuit. That's coming down into Stewart. So not sure what happened, but Sean Whittaker running a little bit wide with 3 laps left to run in this one. And well, this three-way battle for third has now become a two-way battle for third. A puff of engine smoke from the back of Bailey Lawrence there. Looks a little bit blue. Wonder if Bailey's potentially burning a little bit of oil, maybe some oil seeping through the carb. Hopefully everything holds out towards the end of this one. It was just a little puff, so nothing to worry about as of yet. Keaton PAYNE, though, does have a lot to worry about, because Bailey Lawrence is right on his exhaust pipe and trying desperately to find a way through, and now maybe drawing alongside down into Stewart. Here goes Bailey Lawrence to the inside. Keaton PAYNE able to hold on at the outside, but Bailey, that's the first real attack that she's launched. Now she's feeling it. With 1.5 laps left to run, she knows it is crunch time. She knows she needs to find a way through. And right now she is starting to pull the pin, starting to find a way through. Bit more smoke out the back of Lawrence's exhaust. Again, hopefully everything is okay. 2 laps to go. And Bailey Lawrence decides to back out, coming into the opening chicane, drops back a little bit, maybe choosing just to rest, recuperate, regroup, and go for an attack on the final lap. To overtake here at Rowrah, you really need to set it up a few corners in advance. It's so technical, especially in this middle sector. Can Bailey Lawrence get the drive out of Erdels that she did on the previous tour? Looks good. Is it good enough as she tries to draw alongside? Once again, coming down into Stewart. No, this time she does back out a little bit earlier. Not quite close enough. Bit wide, though, from Keaton PAYNE. Is that an opportunity for Bailey Lawrence, as she's still all over the back of Keaton PAYNE, looking left, looking right. Final lap for the leaders. These guys about to be on their final tour. Bailey Lawrence still unable to quite find a way through as it stands. One more tour then for Keaton PAYNE and Bailey Lawrence, and Bailey Lawrence looks to the inside into the chicane. Oh, they touch wheels. Somehow they stay upright, but Bailey Lawrence, that was brilliant stuff to get into the podium from the number 9. Can she hold on? Can Keaton PAYNE recover and try and find his way back through? Chris Wells just needs to keep it on the black stuff to win this race. Speaking of Chris Wells winning this race, there he is. Final corner awaits for the reigning champion. He's going to make it 2 wins from 2 this weekend. 4 wins out of 6 this season. Chris Wells takes a brilliant victory. Jamie King will come home in P2, as that's Robert Leveridge finishes P9, a lap down. Chris Wells looks back, wonders where everyone is, shrugs his shoulders and gets on with it. What a great performance, what a great ride from Chris Wells. Picks up the front wheel in celebration. Awesome stuff from him. Bailey Lawrence did hold on to 3rd place. Great stuff late in the day there for Bailey Lawrence. And actually the gap, 2 seconds, she was able to get through and then extend her pace. So awesome stuff there from Bailey Lawrence to get onto the podium. Keaton PAYNE finished P4 with Sean Whittaker 5th. Daniel Gilbert in P6, Rory Jones in 7th, and Robert Leveridge 2 laps down, it would have seemed, in P8. Disappointing run for him. Hopefully he can improve over the remainder of this weekend. But the story of this one, Chris Wells, another win for the reigning champion, another fantastic performance, and he's continuing to, when he shows up anyway, light up the season.
Yeah, exactly. He's just rapid, right? He gave Lucas Brown, of course, that really good fight back at Lid, and is running really well, both at Three Sisters, the run race he did do, he won, and then here today at Rowrah as well. Be interesting to see how his progress goes throughout the rest of the weekend. They've still got 4 races to come thus far this weekend, and we'll see them a little bit later on.
Race number 3 of round number 4 for the Pitbike 140s. It's been fantastic so far this weekend. Well, I say that like I'm surprised. The Pitbikes is always fantastic action. But the man of the moment has been Chris Wells. Just about, well, I wouldn't say untouchable, but just outside of everyone's reach at the moment. Jamie King, his nearest challenger, not quite able to slide on through and pick up another race win. He's had 2 so far this season, both at Three Sisters. The other one went the way of Chris Wells, who turned up for one race, then went on holiday. But Chris Wells has turned back up, the reigning champion, of course, not here competing in a full season, but showing why he is one of the very best on a pit bike. And it's reigning champion versus championship leader up the front. It's Chris Wells on pole and Jamie King. Pitbike Sonic starts in P2. Keaton PAYNE alongside them in third. Sean Whittaker is fourth with Bailey Lawrence in P5. She got a podium in race number 2. Let's see if she can continue that form with Daniel Gilbert in P6. And Rory Jones and Robert Leveridge round out our 8-bike grid heading into this one. Jamie King, what's going through his mind? Again, championship leader. He's still going pretty healthy in the championship again. He broke his win duck at Three Sisters last time out, his first wins in some number of years, leading the championship. He's got the pace, he's picking up consistent points. But you know Jamie, Zach, he wants to win. And, you know, Chris is looking, or he looked in race 2 anyway, just a little bit too fast for Jamie. What's he got to do in this one differently to try and get back onto that top step?
Get good.
I mean, you can do that. I mean, that's one way, isn't it?
Yeah, just... in fairness, he's not doing anything wrong. It's just that Chris Wells is just that ever so slight. He's got that edge, right? And to be fair, for the first half of the race earlier on, race 2, Chris Wells and Jamie King were pretty much matched. But then in that second half, Chris Wells was just able to turn it up ever so slightly and pull that gap. Jamie King needs to get track position, I think, is going to be the important thing.
Let's see what he does this time then. Red lights are on, red lights are off. Oh, a big pick up on the front for Jamie King. Keaton PAYNE as well. And who's that sliding through? Bailey Lawrence takes advantage of the poor start from King and PAYNE to slot into third place. Meanwhile, Wells holds the lead off the line. Wasn't an excellent launch, but King and PAYNE got away so poorly that it just means that Wells just had to cruise away up the front. But look at that already. Jamie King straight back up into second. Or, well, it holds on second, should I say, but straight away pressuring the number 1 of Chris Wells and already trying to get in front. Maybe King feels like he needs to go on the attack early in this one, try and get in front early and then defend. That might be the best opportunity to beat Chris Wells.
I think so. Like I say, he needs to get track position, and that's exactly what he's going to do to the inside of St John's, then into Sunny Bend. There is an opportunity that opens up, but you can tell Jamie King is riding aggressively, trying to apply the pressure to Chris Wells. The gap opens up in a paddock bend. Nicely done from Jamie King to take the race lead at the end of lap 1. Chris Wells now has to settle into second place. Now King is in control. Bit of a look there from Wells to the inside of the chicane, but now Jamie King has control. He's just got to defend.
Yeah, that's exactly what Jamie King wanted to do, just get up into the lead and then control the pace of the race from there. Doesn't want to ride too aggressively. He has a history of having massive accidents here at Rowrah, namely in 2021 when he destroyed our onboard camera in about 30 seconds, which we still haven't forgiven him for. And Chris Wells also having a look to the inside meanwhile, but he needs to ride hard because Chris Wells is just so strong. That's not saying that King is a bad rider, but he needs to just push to the absolute maximum. But he can't push too hard. He doesn't want to make a mistake, doesn't want to come off the bike or run off the track or something like that. Right now though, just about holding on. Going to be 8 laps left to run at the line. Pitbike Sonic leads the way from reigning champion Chris Wells. Bailey Lawrence meanwhile doing a great job up into third off the line, looking to make it 2 podiums in a row. 8 to go, shall we go? Jamie King holds on to the lead from Chris Wells.
He does indeed, but remember, he's been in this exact position before. Think back to Ella Park, both race 2 and race 3, was ahead of Lucas Brown, got the jump off the start, but then late on in the race gave the gap up on the inside through the hairpins and allowed Lucas Brown to take the race victory. He needs to learn from those mistakes, needs to make sure he doesn't repeat them, because Chris Wells is one of the biggest adversaries you can face in this field, and he's all over the rear end of Jamie King. That pressure isn't going anywhere. I do not think Jamie King has the pace to pull away. He needs to make sure he's got the intelligence to stay in front.
Chris Wells doesn't look like he's searching for an overtake too hard at the moment either. It must be said, he's having looks, but he's not making dives. Maybe this time he does, and through goes Chris Wells up the inside. Mirrors what King did to him moments ago and gets back into the lead of the race. How does Pitbike Sonic respond to that one? 7 laps left to run in race 3 of round 4 of the Pitbike 140s here at Rowrah. King and Wells locked in a massive battle. Wells better drive out of McRae's hairpin though, now into Airedale's. Very tricky through here, getting the drive out of there also is Wells. Maybe Wells, now he's back in front, can just unleash the pace and drive away. Can Jamie King stick with him on that 76 machine, or is Wells just too much to match at this stage? as it stands. It looks like Wells already starting to extend the gap a little bit. There we see Bailey Lawrence, who got into third, away from the line, looking to make it a second podium in the row, taking advantage of that poor start from Keaton PAYNE. But you've got to remember as well, got the podium, with a great run in race number 2, and slid right on through and did a great job. Now she doesn't even have to bother with the overtake. She did it off the line. All she's got to do at this point is run her own race. Of course, Bailey, as one of our talented female riders here at FAB-Racing, also competing in the highest achieving female racer award, the Cup, brought to you by House of Motor, the first grassroots level all-female competitor cup in British motorsport, and doing a strong job as that. I think she's currently second to Nelly Nuth in the standings for that one off the top of my head. He's got some moves further down the pack as well. That was Daniel Gilbert having a fight with Sean Whittaker there. Those two having a big ding-dong as they make their way down to Stewart.
Yeah, Sean Whittaker we saw maybe have some issues in the race earlier on, and of course did win in motor team as well earlier on, so has got some pace about him here at Rowrah, and is just searching for the move for the top 5. That is right in front of him, of course, the all-blue 91 of Daniel Gilbert, and the top 5 going with it. 5 laps left to go by the time they reach the line. It's Chris Wells from Jamie King, Bailey Lawrence, the top 3. Jamie King dropping back. To be fair, it was quicker than Chris Wells that last time by 53 dead compared to a 53.1. There's Sean Whittaker on the inside. Great run out of Paddock Bend, but not enough by the time they reach the first corner. Jamie King needs to arrive back onto the back of Chris Wells and start throwing some sort of pressure to win this race.
Look at the front of Sean Whittaker's bikes on the brake. He's running on an AMR machine this weekend. He hits the brake, the front end just shoots down, almost bounces off the shocks. It's so soft, but it makes for some great viewing action. Sean Whittaker clearly liking her bike a bit on the softer side round here at Rowrah this weekend. But currently Daniel Gilbert holding on to that 5th place on the number 91 as it stands. Let's see if Whittaker can make his way through. I think maybe there was a small error for Bailey Lawrence, because Keaton PAYNE has closed the gap up and is now looking all over the rear and looking to the inside. Had to think about giving it a go down into Paddock Bend, decided against it, maybe trying to get the drive down into the opening chicane as they head on to their next lap. 4 to go for the pair of them, but Bailey Lawrence still holding on, still spitting out the odd puff of smoke from the exhaust that we saw in race 2. Clearly it's not an issue, or not one that's too big of a problem, because it's not hindered her so far this weekend, but it's just something to keep an eye on potentially. Hopefully everything is okay on that number 9 bike. Right now she's doing an excellent job holding off the 112.
Yeah, exactly that. Of course, the pressure isn't going to subside. Keaton PAYNE wants that position. Bailey Lawrence, though, of course, wants her 3rd place. She very much deserves it. Got it, of course, earlier on in race 2. And with 3 laps to go at the line, definitely is in good stead to do so, but it's not going to come easy. The 112 looks to the inside of Sunny Bend. It's been a move that we've seen eyed up plenty of times, but if you can keep the throttle open on the exit, you can open the door just like that. The 112 tries to the inside, but Bailey Lawrence sees it coming and swoops her way around the outside to keep 3rd place with 3 laps to go.
That was smart from Bailey Lawrence. Chose not to defend into Paddock Bend. Instead just ran a normal line. Probably knew that Keaton PAYNE was going to try something like that. That means she didn't compromise her exit from Paddock Bend. Meant she held the lead up into the opening chicane. It's a bit wide though, coming out of McRae's. That gives Keaton PAYNE a bit of a look, but Lawrence gets the drives, gets the inside line into Erdales, and well, maybe Keaton PAYNE can try and have a look here as well, but Bailey in a straight line, looking absolutely rapid, just getting that traction down out of the rear wheel, and still holds on to 3rd place, coming through Stewart's. And Keaton PAYNE, well, he's really piling the pressure on, but Bailey Lawrence is doing an excellent job of defending. But can she hold on for any longer? Because PAYNE is looking left, he's looking right, he's looking everywhere for a gap that is not really appearing. He's going to have to make it appear himself, I feel, because Bailey Lawrence, she's not giving it up without a fight. And right now she is fighting tooth and nail to hold on as they head on to their penultimate lap.
Yeah, 2 to go, and time ticking down. Getting very close to her rear end is Keaton PAYNE through the chicane. A lap and a half, and corners tick down, and with them goes opportunities at the front. Chris Wells and Jamie King now 3 seconds separating them, so it's all eyes to this battle for the final place on the podium. The number 9 machine of Bailey Lawrence is doing a fantastic job of just keeping her composure, keeping Keaton PAYNE behind. More importantly, that 112 running out of time for 3rd place.
Yeah, that's the problem, unfortunately. As much as we love FAB-Racing, the races are only so short. We'd love them to be longer because it gives us more action to watch, and it would be fantastic. But the riders would love it to be longer as well for moments like this, when the laps are ticking away and you just can't find a way through. You need that bit of extra time, and unfortunately, that's racing. The lap count is the lap count. You can't do anything about it. Final lap of the race for these guys this time by now. Bailey Lawrence still holding on to third place. Chris Wells at 52.187, a ridiculously fast lap from Chris Wells. He's 4 seconds to the good in front of Jamie King, with Bailey Lawrence holding on to third place. And speaking of the devil, there is Chris Wells, the reigning champion, has put on a show and shown, well, why he is the reigning champion, I suppose. The number one rider has done a stellar job and has been the class of the field, and is going to sweep the opening round here at Rowrah. Round 4, as he rounds the final corner, goes the way of Chris Wells. It's 3 out of 3 so far for Chris Wells. What a victory! Dominance defined for the reigning champion, as he takes a brilliant win. Jamie King will hold on for P2, but we wait to see who is third as they come to the final corner. Bailey Lawrence is still holding on. Does Keaton PAYNE have anything in his locker? I don't think he does. Bailey Lawrence with a well-deserved second podium of the weekend. Awesome stuff for her, as Keaton PAYNE only a tenth of a second away, but a solid performance nonetheless. He can be proud of the fight that he put on. And Chris Wells victorious once again. Close your eyes and it's like he never left.
Exactly that. Chris Wells, when he does turn up, oh my goodness, does he. He is on fire. If he's finished a race this season, it's been in the top 2. And he has done the sweep here at Rowrah. Of course, he's completed 6 races and he's won 4 of them. That is a remarkable 67 rounded up % win rate in 2024. Chris Wells, I mean, it's like he's a champion or something.
The guy's just ridiculous, honestly. Jamie King, I know he'll be disappointed with that one, but there's still 3 more races to come for these guys. Round 5 awaits tomorrow. Potentially today, if we get through enough races today. We are very much ahead of schedule, which is, well, very interesting. We always run a bit ahead of schedule here at FAB, but here we are running very quick. So we're waiting to see how many races we can get done today. Time for race number 1 in round number 5 in the Pitbike 140s, a class that, while unfortunately has been lacking in grid size this weekend, has been making up for it in its excitement. Of course, the men of the moment, Chris Wells and Jamie King, starting P1 and 2. The reigning champion, Chris Wells, has been the man to beat this weekend. Of course, not contesting a full campaign this season, but when he turns up, shows you why he's the reigning champion. We spoke to Jamie King earlier. My good friend Zach Sweeney told to get good yesterday, and well, he quite literally does, because he said to us he's been lapping half a second quicker than he's ever lapped here at Rowrah before, but he just can't catch Chris Wells. Chris Wells is just so good, he can't do anything about him. As they make their way onto their sighting lap, it will be reigning champion Wells starting on the pole position. Pitbike Sonic, Jamie King alongside with Keaton PAYNE, should I say, completing the front row. Sean Whittaker starts fourth with Bailey Lawrence in P5. She's had 2-3 great races this weekend. Let's see if she can get back onto the podium. Daniel Gilbert completes row 2, and our final 2 riders, Rory Jones and Robert Leveridge. An 8-rider grid coming into this one then. Should be very, very interesting, but again, it's mainly all eyes on Chris Wells and Jamie King for the race lead. Bailey Lawrence and Keaton PAYNE, a few fantastic battles so far this weekend. I think we should definitely keep an eye on them and see what they can do as they come round to go on their second sighting lap. Again, we didn't have a warm-up session this morning for any of the classes, so they're getting 2 sighting laps for race 1s, and then later on it'll just be come to the grid. Off you go, have fun, enjoy. Jamie King, what is running through that man's mind? Again, Chris Wells, despite the fact that King has been pushing himself, testing himself to the very edge, Wells just looks unbeatable at the moment. He just looks quicker, especially in race number 2 of round 4, which was yesterday. Jamie stayed with Chris for about 2 or 3 laps, and then Wells just turned the wick up and just slowly started pulling away, and there was nothing that Jamie King could do.
Yeah, pretty much. Unfortunately for Jamie King, we said he's taking his 2 first victories in a couple of years. Back at Three Sisters with a P2, obviously racing with Chris Wells before he then went on holiday. Jamie King really does need to sort of hammer it home. I think maybe it does start with the getaway, because we did see him get in front of Chris Wells, but he needs to stay in front. I know that sounds obvious, but the moment Chris Wells gets ahead, his pace is just going to allow him to take away. So Jamie King, I think for today, he's had that reset over last night and into this morning, a fresh round, a fresh slate, and hopefully some good pace to go with it.
Jamie King had a wind duck of about 3 years before he took wins at Three Sisters last time out. Maybe is this the start of another 3-year wind duck for Pitbike Southern? Hopefully not. But
savage.
You know, time will tell. It's time to go racing in the Pitbike 140s in round 5. We are underway. King, good reaction, but doesn't get a good second phase of the launch. Wells will hold the lead. King slots into second in front of Keaton PAYNE. Bailey Lawrence looks like a bit of a disappointing start for her, maintaining that P5 behind Sean Whittaker on the AMR number 12 machine, making their way through McRae's for the first time. Wells, King already starting to pull away at the front of the pack. That second phase of the launch for Jamie King really wasn't particularly good. Oh, Sean Whittaker, talk about late on the brakes up the inside at Airedales. I believe he slid through Keaton PAYNE, found the window of opportunity and gone through, but there goes Bailey Lawrence once again into the podium positions. That number 9 machine, she is having a wonderful weekend, a wonderful doubleheader round. She's up onto the podium once again. Awesome stuff from Bailey Lawrence. And Keaton PAYNE, not the start that he wanted. He'll be feeling the pain, no doubt, as he's dropped down to 5th.
Yeah, indeed. So, of course, a little bit depressed, not only because it's Monday, but also because Ross McIntyre and his plans. But nonetheless, 8 laps left to run of this race, and Chris Wells is running quite nicely, 55.976 off that opening lap. But Bailey Lawrence, of course, yeah, you're right. Similar to sort of David Meyer in the seniors, just had a really slow start to the season. I mean, to be fair, few top 5s coming into this round. In fact, finished inside the top 5 on all but one occasion of the races that she started. But then coming into Rowrah, it's just unlocked something, and she's fighting for podiums on a regular basis. I don't think she's finished off the podium this weekend, has she?
No, she hasn't. I've said it multiple times this season already, but it's been so wonderful watching Bailey Lawrence come on as a rider over the last few seasons. I remember a few years ago, she was, that you could always see there was something there, but more often than not, she'd be fighting down the back of the pit bike grid. She performed quite well when they used to run their own kind of rookies championship back in the pit bikes, when they would regularly get 20-25 people turning up each weekend. But slowly she's been stepping forward. Now she's fighting for podiums. Who knows, maybe she'll be fighting for race wins in the very near future.
And before Jamie King.
Yeah, maybe before Jamie King. Well, we hope that she is fighting for race wins, because it is great to see Bailey doing so well, currently doing a great job as she did in the previous race, holding Keaton PAYNE behind the 112. Seemingly no way through on the number 9 once again, with 7 laps left to go. Bailey Lawrence doing a great job, just putting the bike exactly where she needs to put it, just hitting her marks, doing an excellent job, keeping it on the black stuff, just going when she needs to go, stop when she needs to stop. It's pretty textbook stuff, to be honest, riding a bike. But when you're racing, yeah, it's a bit more difficult, but she's doing everything she needs to do to keep Keaton PAYNE behind.
Yeah, of course. Pretty much the fundamentals of racecraft is unanimous throughout the entirety of motorsport in general, sort of where to position yourself, how to attack corners, how to ride or drive differently depending on your situation. It all pretty much transfers wherever, but the one key thing is that it comes with experience. It's all good getting up to pace and doing laps upon laps and being quick. There's being a quick rider, there's being a quick racer, and those are two very, very different things, and it's a skill that you come with experience, and very much and so. There is Bailey Lawrence, of course, under attack from Keaton PAYNE and trying to use each and every single year of experience that she's got under her belt. If you have got a pit bike at home and you're thinking this looks like a little bit of fun, get yourself involved. Still 2 rounds of 2024 to come at Clay Pigeon and Ella Park, so if you're local, definitely check in and have a go, or even for 2025. There is Keaton PAYNE, though, searching for the gap for the podium with just 5 laps to go at the line.
Still nowhere for PAYNE to go, though. Looking left, looking right, but nowhere through in sight. Bailey Lawrence is doing a masterful job, but Keaton PAYNE got good drive out of Paddock Bend. Ultimately decided to back out of that move. Wasn't quite committed enough, wasn't quite close enough, or quite alongside enough to Bailey Lawrence. Once again, looking to the inside as they head through McRae's hairpin. Now climbing up the hill towards Airedale's, the trickiest corner on the track. Quite slippy, you can see the front end of the bike's just dropping down, almost bottoming out on the shocks as they hit the brakes, and then roaring back down the hill again as they come into Stewart's Bend. Past the chicane that is used for karting. We don't bother with that one here at FAB. We like the straight, the fast blast through this S's section, back down a little kink into St John's. And again the left at Sunny Bend. Here's some action further back in the pack. That is the number 91 of Daniel Gilbert fighting with Sean Whittaker. Sean Whittaker got a great start. I think he's encountered a few problems though during this one. He's fallen back a little bit. Currently stuck behind Daniel Gilbert, and they're some way behind Keaton PAYNE as well. 5 seconds at the line last time, now 6.5 as the timing board updates itself as they cross the scoring line. So, yeah, problems there maybe for those two. They were in that fight. Sean Whittaker, of course, had that amazing overtake up into Erdels to get into the podium places on the opening lap, just sticking it up the inside and with a thought and a prayer, sending it home. Maybe he has a look to the outside, not on this occasion. Chris Wells, though, again, as with many races we've seen today, no one paying much attention to the race leader. There's not really much to say. Gap last time, 6 seconds. He has, well, pulled the pin and sent it. It's been another masterclass of a race. 3 laps left to go. All he's got to do, keep it on the black stuff and bring it home at this point.
Yeah, he's doing well, is Chris Wells. 52.7 at that last time by. Closing in slowly on that lap record set by Lucas Brown 2 years ago with a 52.3. I don't think we're quite going to get to that pace. Maybe later on, when the track's a bit more rubbed in and a little bit warmer, we might see a lap record come out today, because Chris Wells definitely, potentially has got the pace to go and do it. Jamie King, 8 seconds back, consistently running at least a second and a half, 2 seconds off the back of Chris Wells. Following on the back for fight for third, Keaton PAYNE, by the way, the 112, as you can see, is ahead of the 9 of Bailey Lawrence. That's the fight for the podium with 3 laps left to go. Bailey Lawrence, though, you can tell she's hungry for that counter-attack, and she wants that podium back off Keaton PAYNE.
Absolutely. Apparently Chris Wells did break a lap record yesterday in the pit bikes. We didn't see it, so we'll have to confirm it, but that's what I was told. Apparently he was really annoyed that we missed it, but I feel like we would have seen it in the commentary box if he had done it. So
it's
maybe,
not our fault.
Yeah, it's not. Maybe Chris Wells is telling us lies and trying to sound better than he actually is. But back to the action though. Bailey Lawrence all over the tail of Keaton PAYNE. Can she find a move to the inside coming to the chicane? 2 laps to go. Penultimate tour in the opening race of round 5. Here for the pit bike 140s. PAYNE, better exit out of the opening chicane. Down into McRae's hairpin they go. Both of them like synchronized swimmers as they tip the bikes in and powering back up the hill and towards the trickiest part of the circuit, the Erdels hairpin. Keaton PAYNE has been mighty through here, but Bailey Lawrence always gets good drive. Not going to be close enough on this occasion for a move down into Stewart's. Again, she's also very, very strong on the brakes coming through there. That seems to be the section of the track that she absolutely adores. From Erdels down to Stewart's, she's just mighty through there. Oh, a bit of a wobble there from Lawrence on the brakes. Hasn't cost her too much time. Chris Wells, though, on the last lap of the race. Jamie King waiting for the timing screen to update. 12.5 seconds behind. That has been domination defined from Chris Wells.
It very much has. I mean, I've been looking at the last lap times, and consistently 2.5 seconds. I think even 3 seconds a lap quicker on some occasions. I think he's reined it in ever so slightly. Probably chasing that lap record. Can see the times getting slower, but gets to a point where you just have to settle in and sort of get the win. That's the most important thing. Points mean prizes. Of course, Jamie King is leading the championship thanks to turning up at every round. Chris Wells is lacking a little bit thanks to missing most of Ella Park and Three Sisters, but he's arrived here for the doubleheader at Rowrah. He rounds through the final corner, does Chris Wells, in dominant fashion. Sees the checkered flag first, it waves, he takes it. Chris Wells victorious for race 1 of the Pitbike 140 Championship for round 5 of FAB-Racing in 2024. Across the line, of course, we'll see later on Jamie King take second place. Will it be Keaton PAYNE? Will it be Bailey Lawrence on that fight for third?
That was gold standard from Chris Wells. What a performance, what a ride from the reigning champion. I've said it before, I'll say it again, there's a reason he's got that number 1 plate on the front of that bike, because when he turns up, he is the best in the pit bike field, and there is no doubt about it. Once again, domineering out in front, simply taking the victory like it belongs to him almost. It's like it's almost divine right that the victory is supposed to go to him. That's how good he is out on track. Chris Wells with another fantastic win, 14.3 seconds ahead of Jamie King in P2. Keaton PAYNE rounded out the podium. Bailey Lawrence missed out in P4 by just over half a second. Sean Whittaker in P5 with Daniel Gilbert in P6 and Rory Jones in P7. Well, that was a fantastic race. None, it must be said, but Chris Wells has just absolutely dominated in that one. The riders making their way back to the grid. Should be very, very exciting indeed. That was absolutely brilliant, Zach Sweeney. What a race there from Chris Wells. Jamie King, again, I don't think he'll be disappointed. He said, despite the fact he's pushing so hard, he said he's lapping 4 or 5 tenths faster around here at Rowrah, but he just can't catch Chris Wells.
No, unfortunately not. Next up, we head to one of the very much intriguing classes of this weekend here at Rowrah. It is, of course, the Pitbike 140s, where Chris Wells has been in dominant stead all weekend long. Can Jamie King finally try and go and catch him, or will it be another easy affair for Chris Wells to cruise to victory? Let's find out. Of course, they do one sighting lap straight to the grid. That's their warm-up lap. Let's run you through the grid while we can. Chris Wells, pole position ahead of Jamie King. Keaton PAYNE as well, who got himself onto the podium ahead of Bailey Lawrence in race number 2. Race 1 earlier on of round 5. Sean Whittaker from Bailey Lawrence, that's the top 5. Daniel Gilbert, Rory Jones and Robert Leveridge, the 8-rider field that we've got for the pit bikes. Of course, a lot more grunt on these pit bikes. Sounding fantastic, looking fantastic, but all eyes realistically onto the 3-time Pitbike FAB champion of Jamie King. 2 race wins this season, and is yet to step up to the pace that the number 1 plate, the reigning champion of Chris Wells, can attain to. Consistently a second and a half, 2 seconds a lap quicker over the duration of this weekend. What can Jamie King do? Can he do anything with 2 races left to go this weekend? Of course, it's going to be eyes to the lights. Chris Wells from Jamie King. Race 2, a PB140 gets underway. Keaton PAYNE once again a better start than Jamie King. This time a little bit better for Pitbike Sonic. Into the chicane for the first time. It's Chris Wells from Jamie King from Keaton PAYNE. Then, of course, Bailey Lawrence able to get herself up in a 4th place, trying to contend for the podium, but no way through for Jamie King. Chris Wells is then able to hold on to the lead. Jamie King, crunch time is now if he wants to get in front.
Absolutely, Jamie King needs to find his way through, but he's a lot closer to the back of Chris Wells than he has been on previous occasions. Chris Wells, quick glance back from the reigning champion. Pitbike Sonic right on his tail, banging down the gears as they head down into Stewart and onto the quick back section. Wells not quite breaking away as he has so far across this weekend. Jamie King also not looking like he's pushing extremely hard. The bike isn't moving all around like he normally does when King is riding on the ragged edge. You can really see the thing moving under him. Right now, looks pretty calm, pretty collected, and it looks like he's drawing alongside Chris Wells as well. To the inside, Pitbike Sonic gets the lead down into the opening chicane. Lovely little move. There was a small opportunity. The 76 gave it a go and slid on by. He's into the lead of the race on lap number 2. Jamie King slides through on Chris Wells. Pitbike Sonic's up in front.
Yeah, nicely done. Can he keep it though is the question. He's done the hard work, but now comes the even harder the mountain to climb, and already a poor exit. Here comes Chris Wells on the counter-attack towards Stuart Bend. Can the reigning champion get after the 3-time champion? No, he can't. Jamie King stays ahead, searching for his 3rd race win of the season and extending that championship lead, of course, that he's worked so hard for. Chris Wells immediately trying to find a way through, but Jamie King has the answer.
Yeah, lovely stuff there from Jamie King. Going to be 10 laps to go very, very shortly. Going to be a long 10 laps for these two if they keep fighting each other like this. But we could be treated to a classic pit bike battle here. King leads Wells. Bailey Lawrence up into 3rd place as well. Although there's only 6 bikes out there on the grid, we are being served an absolute treat. Quality over quantity, as they say. Oh, look at that. Keaton PAYNE trying to move to the inside of Bailey Lawrence. Didn't quite come into fruition. Bailey Lawrence holding on. Look at the front of the bike, shooting down as they get onto the brakes. Chris Wells, great run. Jamie King, can he hold on? Manages to squeeze Chris Wells as they come through Stewart. Almost contact between the pair of them. Now King is really pushing. You can start to see the bike moving underneath him. Chris Wells is turning the wick up. Will Jamie King hold on, or will he have to let the reigning champion through? Because Wells has the inside. Wells slides on by through Paddock Bend. King has the inside though. Does he have the drive down into turn number 1? Yes, he does. King back into the lead. This one is going to go potentially to the wire.
I think so. Jamie King very, very clever about that, but Chris Wells dummy into the inside, late brakes going into McRae's, not quite close enough there. Jamie King forwards the attack off. 9 laps left to go. Chris Wells all over the back of Pitbike Sonic. He has to call upon every ounce of talent that he's got left if he wants to take victory for race 2 of the PB140 Championship. Chris Wells, once again, a good run out of the second hairpin. Is it enough by the time they reach the brakes for Stewart's? No, it's not. King able to swoop his way around the outside with the momentum. This is a timeless classic that I'm sure will be remembered for years to come.
Two very different lines from our two front riders heading through Stewart's. That's something to watch out for. King happy to make a much more of a geometric racing line. Wells apexes much later. Another look to the inside there at Paddock Bend. This time, Chris Wells with the inside on Jamie King. King has enough legs on him, has enough pace just to stay in front. 8 laps left to go in this one. King still leads, but Chris Wells, he's all over the back of Pitbike Sonic, looking left, looking right. Just can't quite find the gap at the moment. Both of them really starting to push. Meanwhile, as they're fighting, Bailey Lawrence and Keaton PAYNE still giving it a go as well. Bailey Lawrence holding on once again to that podium. She's having a monster weekend here at Rowrah. Keaton PAYNE wants to get onto the podium though. So does Chris Wells, except he's already on the podium. He wants to move up one step and get onto the top.
He does. He's trying to extend his win count this season. Looks to the inside of St John's, but no way through. 7 laps to go at the line. King wants his 3rd win of the season. What can Chris Wells do to try and topple the championship leader? Jamie King searching for his 4th title in FAB-Racing this year. Might well be attainable, but he wants the race wins to go with it. 7 laps to go, and no real pressure from Chris Wells that lap. Jamie King was able to have a decent enough margin. I don't think that's going to be a luxury he can afford for long.
No, King is having to use every ounce of his ability to hold the reigning champion behind the championship leader, looking for his 3rd win this season. Chris Wells looking for, I think it'll be about his 6th or his 7th or something along those lines off the top of my head. Even though he's not doing a full campaign, he's just so fast. Again, Jamie King was talking to us coming into this race, said he's lapping Rowrah 4 or 5 tenths faster than he's ever lapped it before. It's just that he can't beat Chris Wells because he's too good. But in this one, he is beating Chris Wells. It's soon to be 6 laps left to go. King still holding on to the lead.
Yeah, this is nail-biting stuff. There goes Chris Wells to the inside of Paddock Bend. Jamie King once again sees it coming, but this time doesn't quite have the drive to get it back into turn 1. He's going to be aggressive, but Chris Wells goes through with 6 laps left to run at the Pitbike 140 race 2 of round 5. Jamie King, is this win hopes done and dusted in the bin? He left the inside open. Chris Wells said thank you very much. Through he goes, and goodness me, Jamie King, could this be the end of what has been a titanic battle?
Potentially, but it's not over yet. Bailey Lawrence a little bit wide. That gives Keaton PAYNE a run to the outside. Coming up to Erdels. Bailey on the inside. Oh, squeezing the pair of them, almost banging knees as they come round the hairpin there. Then back down the hill they go. Lawrence holding on from PAYNE for the time being in this fight for the final podium place. Bailey Lawrence wants to make it yet another P3 so far this weekend. She has been having a great time out here at Rowrah. Keaton PAYNE also having a phenomenal time. Of course, Bailey Lawrence as well competing in the House of Moto Highest Achieving Female Racer Award, along with many other female talents here in FAB-Racing. But Keaton PAYNE wants to upset the apple cart, wants to move up into the podium places. Maybe has the drive down into the opening chicane. He's certainly got the inside line. Bailey, though, breaks a bit later, sweeps around the outside, shuts the door. She'll stay put for now.
Yeah, nicely done. Of course, they've been jostling places, swapping it on the podium all weekend long. Bailey Lawrence searching for another one, a little bit wide out of McRae's. That's going to invite Keaton PAYNE through. The number 9 will still have the inside line. Let's not forget, but Keaton PAYNE braver on the brakes. It's not over yet, though. Still 4.5 laps left to run. But Keaton PAYNE got the measure of Lawrence in race number 1 earlier. Has he got the measure of her in race 2 as well? Swapping for the podium. And this, hopefully, is going to be a nice finish to the end between the pair of them for the podium. We don't really know what the situation is like at the front. There it is, actually. Jamie King, to his credit, is all over the back of Chris Wells, searching for their opportunity. But time is of the essence. He has not got the luxury of waiting around.
Jamie King, fastest lap last time, 53.067, made up 6 tenths of a second with that one. Jamie King really wants this win, doesn't he? You can tell. 4 laps left to go. Chris Wells, can he respond to the pace set by the 76? Of course, Jamie King did get the whole shot, held the lead through turn number 1 on the opening lap. And these two have just been fighting tooth and nail ever since. Wells opening up a little bit of a gap again, once again, as they head through Stewart's. Now to the blistering back section, though. Through the left, then the right of St John's, then the left of Sunny Bend. This is where Jamie King is making his money. I feel he's just a little bit better through there than Chris Wells, but it's the opening section through the hairpins. That's where Chris Wells is superior to the number 76. 3 laps left to go at the line this time, and Chris Wells does respond with the fastest lap, 52.989. First rider into the 52s this race, Jamie King, 53.236. Not that far off, and again, Chris Wells is still right there. Nothing separating them. Meanwhile, Keaton PAYNE has got through on Bailey Lawrence, the 112, up into P3. How does Lawrence respond?
Yeah, exactly. Of course, it has been the status quo for the last couple of laps, but Bailey Lawrence, one mistake from Keaton PAYNE, and she goes through, running a little bit wider out of that first hairpin relative to the 112, and I think that's really what's been letting her down. Left her open, of course, to that attack from Keaton PAYNE, and that has now put her on the back foot with 2.5 laps left to run. A lot of intrigue then, quality not quantity for the PB140 race 2 in terms of the grid. We've got a fight for the win, a fight for the podium. What more realistically could we ask for as they approach the way on to what is going to be the penultimate lap?
Can Bailey Lawrence find her way back through? Can Jamie King find his way back through? 2 laps left to run in the Pitbike 140s race number 2 of round 5 here at the Cumbria Kart Racing Club. Better known to you or I as Rowrah. Bailey, I think a small mistake there for the number 9 coming through the paddock bend, just slowed down a bit, and Jamie King as well, I think, just dropping back a bit as well. Gap was 0.4 of a second at the line last time. Visually looks a little bit bigger than that, unless King's maybe dropped back intentionally just to try and regroup and then go for one all-out attack on the last lap.
Yeah, it's easy to actually get bogged down. Sometimes, as backwards as it sounds, it's worse to be closer. Sometimes you just have to drop back and then use that momentum to close in and get that sweep, because what happens is you start to follow, you get bogged down, there's no gaps. Sometimes you do just need to drop back, reset. However, he has not got time to do that. One more tour of Rowrah for race 2. Chris Wells seems secure for another victory. Jamie King has done a lot better, but still not quite close enough to conquer Wells.
Close, but maybe not quite close enough for Pitbike Sonic. Chris Wells, half a lap away from yet another victory here this weekend at Rowrah, but this one has been the closest one of the lot. The gap at the line last time, the biggest it has ever been, 1 second. For most of it, Wells and King trading blows and trading places. A bit late in the day when King faded away, Chris Wells was able to hold on. The reigning champion, a handful of corners left to bring it home, to bring home another victory in race number 2 of round 5 here at Rowrah. Chris Wells rounds paddock bend. It was close this time, but he still holds on. The number 1 is on top once again. Chris Wells takes the win here in the Pitbike 140s. Jamie King, oh so close. But unfortunately, at the end, just fading away. He finishes just under a second away in P2, but the two share a handshake. They know that was a tough battle. They know they've put on a show for Ross, and they know they've done well. Keaton PAYNE ultimately got the podium with Bailey Lawrence in P4, but Chris Wells on top once again.
Yeah, very, very good stuff indeed. Of course, a lot better than from Jamie King. Still didn't get the win, but a lot closer to Chris Wells. We've seen a lot of times this season that maybe Jamie King showcasing some single-digit IQ moves in terms of his defence, but this time was a lot better versus Chris Wells. Still left the door open. Maybe that's something to learn from. He was relying maybe on that switchback the first time, maybe assumed that he'd get it again, but unfortunately in the end it was Chris Wells that took victory. Still one more race for the pit bikes though. We'll run you through the finishing order. It's Wells from Kings and Keaton PAYNE at the top 3. Bailey Lawrence so close, just 3/4 of a second off another podium ahead of Daniel Gilbert and Rory Jones. Our 6-bike field. The pit bikes will be back for race 3.
Coming up now, the Pitbike 140s getting ready to head out onto the circuit for their final race of the weekend. Story of the day, Jamie King. He's been getting closer and closer and closer to Chris Wells all weekend. Race 2 of round 5 earlier on. He was right on his tail until the very last couple of laps. Maybe in this one, Jamie King can finally get his way through Chris Wells. The two of them, of course, good friends, sat together in the dummy grid, but they will race each other fiercely on the circuit. Just waiting to head out onto the dummy grid. You can see there Keaton PAYNE and Bailey Lawrence also sat next to each other on the right of your picture. Also in the middle, I suppose. They've been racing each other very, very hard. Bailey Lawrence has been getting the better of Keaton PAYNE so far this weekend, though. Can Keaton respond, or can Bailey continue that brilliant run of form that she has brought up to Rowrah? Few words being had from Jamie King to one of our roving marshals. Of course, a big thank you to all the marshals. Couldn't go racing without them. Same for the medics and the likes as they head out onto track. Let's run through the grid. Chris Wells starts on pole position. Jamie King alongside Keaton PAYNE completes the front row of the grid. Sean Whittaker in P4 with Bailey Lawrence 5th and Daniel Gilbert in P6. Rory Jones is 7th and Robert Leverage starts in P8. Well then, Zach, it'll be all eyes once again on Chris Wells and Jamie King. Jamie King has been getting closer and closer and closer all weekend. Race 2 was with Chris Wells, overtook Chris Wells a couple of times until the last handful of laps where he just started to fade away. It's the last race of the weekend. If he wants to get the win here at Rowrah, he needs to get it done now. But given how his weekend's gone and is slowly improving, this is also going to be the best opportunity he's got. Yeah, exactly. It all depends, obviously, on his start, because that's realistically, I mean, obviously where it all starts. But we always say that you can't win a race on lap 1. You can definitely lose it. But on that winning side, you can, you know, you can't win it, but you can definitely give yourself a very good helping hand. And for Jamie King, if he wants a chance, he needs to get track position within the first lap or 2. Realistically, before Chris Wells starts to extend that gap, because we've seen how strong Chris Wells is. Of course, Rowrah last year, he got 2 P1s and a P2. In round 5, he's got 2 P1s. Is this the race he gets the P2? We'll have to wait and see. Jamie King, race 2, was able to launch in front of the line and fight Chris Wells for a long, long time. He'll be needing the same today. Our riders are all on the grid. It's time to go racing. It is lights out. We are underway. Keaton PAYNE gets the better launch of the front 3 and maybe tries to go around the outside of Jamie King. And indeed he does. Keaton PAYNE launches up into second place away from the line. It was a good start from all the front 3. But Keaton PAYNE was just better. But up the inside goes Pitbike Sonic. Gets back into second place. Only a 5-bike grid out there for this final race of the weekend. But they're all riders that we want to see pushing each other. We've got Wells, King, PAYNE, Lawrence and Rory Jones. All of them are going to be pushing each other to the absolute limit. But already, because Jamie King lost that second place off the line and into turn 1, cost him a bit of time, a bit of a gap building already to Chris Wells. Jamie King might have to start pushing harder earlier than he wanted to. Yeah, it's not ideal, of course, for Jamie King. That goes without saying. Going backwards off the race start is the last thing that you want. But he was able to recuperate quite quickly. And now the gap to Chris Wells, he's been able to limit the damage and is still within strike zone. But Chris Wells looking over his shoulder, that could be quite important, because we've said as soon as you start defending, as soon as you look backwards, that's then when the attacker is in. That's then when they start to get the high ground. So potentially this is Jamie King's in and he needs to be aggressive. He cannot afford to wait around because, unfortunately, and I hate to be harsh, he hasn't got the pace to. Absolutely. Has Pitbike Sonic ran out of lives, or has he got one more shot left in him? He's close in to Chris Wells, and it could be quite interesting to see how it's all going to unfold. Pushing Wells is King, the 76, following the number 1, but not quite close enough at the moment. Wells just, the gap fluctuating, I'd say. Again, King is very, very strong in the opening part of the lap, but over the second half of the lap, Wells is even stronger, and that's where the gap was beginning to open up over the previous few races. You can see there as well, Bailey Lawrence has actually got through Keaton PAYNE on the previous tour. Bailey Lawrence back up to 3rd, but for how much longer? Because Keaton PAYNE already looking to the inside. Keaton PAYNE was in 2nd briefly at the start of this race. Most of this weekend, he has been staring at the exhaust of Bailey Lawrence, who we wanted to try and get in front of him. Yeah, the last 2 races, though, it's actually been Keaton PAYNE that got the measure of Bailey Lawrence. In race 2, of course, she ran wide out of McRae's, and that allowed Keaton PAYNE through, and unfortunately she wasn't able to recuperate that position. But at the moment, she's got the track position. Let's see if she's able to keep it. Still got 10 laps left to go in this race. It's Chris Wells from Jamie King, Bailey Lawrence, Keaton PAYNE and Rory Jones. Unfortunately, a little way off, but 4 of the riders that we have got, we've got a fight for 1st, a fight for 3rd, 2 duos out there on circuit, battling away. 9 laps to go at the line, and what is hopefully going to be an historic finish here for the Pitbike 140s. Will Chris Wells do the triple? There's a look to the inside from Keaton PAYNE, but no way through. 9 laps left to go. The gap at the front stays the same. Less than half a second between the 2, less than half a second between these 2 for 3rd. See, part of me wants to believe this is Chris Wells toying with Jamie King a little bit, just holding back to see if King has what it takes to go around him. I don't think that is the case, though. I think King does generally have the pace to at least stick with Wells for the time being, as PAYNE and Lawrence continue to trade blows like a heavyweight title fight. Both of them leaving it all on the line in this battle for 3rd place at the moment. Lawrence better drive out of Erdales and down the hill into Stewart's Bend. Just holding on at the moment. A little bit of a tighter entry there for Keaton PAYNE. Might compromise his speed down this back section, but means he's able to carry more corner speed at the midpoint. Coming now through St John's Sunny Bend, opens up the inside, but Payne decides against it. A little bit wide there from Bailey Lawrence. Keaton Payne to the outside. Lawrence might have to go defensive. Maybe a switchback opportunity. Payne doesn't get the drive, but suddenly he does with the inside. Keaton Payne, is this the opportunity? No. Wonderful defensive stuff from Bailey Lawrence. She's been doing that time and time again, just slamming the door at Keaton Payne at the chicane and getting through. And again, she just needs to hold the inside here, and she will get the drive. Keaton Payne, though, good drive. Bailey Lawrence gets the extra legs on him, though, and will hold on to that third place, but the inside is open. Bailey Lawrence, once again, defensive excellence from the number 9. This is brilliant stuff in this battle for third place. We've got 8 laps left to go. These two are going to fight it all the way to the wire.
Yeah, they very much are. 8 laps left. Of course, Chris Wells versus Jamie King. They're up in the distance, less than half a second separating them at the moment. Bailey Lawrence, as you can see, in competition for the highest achieving female racer award, in collaboration, of course, with the House of Moto, doing a fantastic job. I think only second to Nelly Knuth, who is dominating her respective class of the AC40 rookies. But at the moment, Bailey Lawrence is not worrying about the all-female Ryder Cup. She's worrying about keeping Keaton Payne behind her for the next 7 laps to take what is going to be another sensational podium. Fastest lap goes the way of Chris Wells, 53.0. These guys, 55.5 on that last time by. So not quite to the pace of the leaders, but way too deep there from Bailey Lawrence. Keaton Payne gets back underneath her, looking to the outside of that second hairpin. Once again, trying to get the exit. Does he? He does. Gets the power down. It's a drag race towards Stewart.
I think Bailey Lawrence just has a bit more straight line speed than Keaton Payne this weekend, and she will get away with that one up the front. Gap's now 9 tenths of a second. Chris Wells has started to extend the gap just a little bit. You can see there just in the background the gap visually getting bigger and bigger with each passing lap. Oh, Lawrence, a big mistake. And is that a problem? Big problem for Bailey Lawrence. The bike, something went wrong there, definitely. She's going to continue going round, but she ran wide, sat the bike up and slowed down massively, signalling for something or trying to get the attention of someone watching along in the paddock. Bailey Lawrence, there was an issue there momentarily. We've been seeing the bike throwing out puffs of smoke all weekend long, but it hasn't seemed to have caused any issues. But Bailey Lawrence has dropped back 2.5 seconds back as a result of that. Up the front, gap still 8 tenths of a second between Chris Wells and Jamie King. Chris Wells just starting to do what he did in race 2, just starting to slowly eke ahead. Pitbike Sonic really needs to start pushing hard because he's going to run out of time otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. 6 laps left to go, 5 at the line, so make that 1 less. And Jamie King, you're right, he's not really been able to actually throw much of a challenge at Chris Wells, and he got that poor start, fell backwards. That definitely didn't help, but even then Chris Wells has just been slowly but surely bridging that gap more and more, further and further away from Jamie King. One small mistake from Chris Wells, and obviously Jamie King is right back on him. You can see closing the gap in this first part of the lap, but realistically the second half has a lot more in terms of overtaking opportunities, and that's where Chris Wells makes the time back up. So over the lap they both reach a similar lap time. It's just that Chris Wells is faster in the better places.
That being said, last lap Jamie King closed the gap back down a little bit, down to 6 tenths. His personal best lap of the race of 53.374. Chris Wells 5 tenths down on his personal best. Not a great lap from the reigning champion. Jamie King, though, we'll see what the gap is when we get to the line once again. Visually looks a lot smaller. I think King starting to turn the wick up. Championship wise, Chris Wells is definitely going to be in second at the end of this weekend, I can tell you that much. Might even, I don't think he will be in the lead of the championship, but he won't be far off of Jamie King, I don't think. Just doing some quick mental maths. Gap last time, once again Jamie King a personal best, but Chris Wells only a couple of hundredths off of the fastest lap of the race, so the gap actually got a little bit bigger. So Wells responding to the pressure from the 76 on that occasion. 4 laps left to run. Jamie King, time is running out for a race win at Rowrah. Took his first win in some time, in many, many years. A few weeks back at Three Sisters. In fact, he got so happy with one of them, he took 2. And then, it'll be interesting. It looks, so it's currently 86 points. Wells will gain 34. So King will still be leading the chat. So it'll be 54 points even. So King will still be leading the championship, but it'll be a lot closer.
Yeah, exactly. Just doing some quick maths. Obviously, the gap between P1 and P2 in terms of points is 25 and 20. In fact, actually, no, we've been completely wrong. I'm assuming he's gaining 9 points. He's not. He's only gaining 5 per race. If he's done that on all 6 occasions, no, we're getting there. We're commentators. We're a bit slow. It's fine. We've still got 3 laps. 6 times 5. He's gaining 30 back on an 86-point lead that Jamie King has. So it will be a big help. But it won't be anywhere near the level that Chris Wells needs to be if he wants to tip Jamie King. Of course, King has been here every single round, within the top 3 on most occasions, and scoring points on a regular basis. Points mean prizes, even if he's only won 2 races thus far. 2 laps left to go at the line. And there's a reason you don't trust the commentators, Matt. It's fine. Anyway, Chris Wells, penultimate tour of Rowrah about to come up. Jamie King, not in contention.
Another fastest lap for Chris Wells, 53.001. That is faster than the lap record, but he did set a lap yesterday, which he says was even faster than that, but we didn't see it. But, well, we'll wait and see. No, I'm getting my maths wrong. I'm looking at the wrong time as well. It's all going wrong here, isn't it? But it is the fastest lap for Chris Wells at 53.001. But apparently yesterday, he did set a lap record, which we didn't see. That's what he says. Anyway, we'll wait and see. Either way, he's still going a lot faster than Pitbike Sonic is. Not doing his name very much justice on this occasion, is he, Jamie King? The second is the gap now on the penultimate lap of the race. Soon to be the last lap. Chris Wells, a little glance back. At this point, he's essentially home and dry. And although it doesn't actually, as it turns out, have too many championship implications because of Jamie King's consistency at finishing on the podium and actually turning up, it just goes to show, you know, Chris Wells is still the man to beat when he's here at FAB-Racing.
Yeah, exactly that. Half a lap left to go. Chris Wells, when he turns up, he wins. Jamie King, he turns up and get points. 1 lap left to go. The number 1, of course, you can see the golden plate, the reigning champion that is Chris Wells, turning up once again to take what will be another victory if he's able to hang on to it. The only time he's shown up and lost a race was at Lid, and that's because Lucas Brown, of course, the British Talent Cup rider and I believe championship leader, was racing him as well, and to be fair, gave him a fair fight all the way to the end. Apart from that, Chris Wells has been untouchable, and he's been untouchable here in the quarry up in the north of the Lake District, nestled here in Cumbria. Chris Wells rounds the final corner for the final time in a Pitbike 140 Championship for round number 5 at FAB-Racing in 2024. The reigning champion does the sweep. Chris Wells takes victory ahead of Jamie King in second place. Another winless round going the way of Pitbike Sonic, but this time he got very, very close in race 2. It's just the start that unfortunately let him down. Who's going to be the one to take the podium? Will it be Keaton PAYNE? I believe so, ahead of Brady Lawrence, and then Rory Jones to round off our 5-bike field. Nice little wheelie there from Chris Wells as well. Maybe to rub it into to Jamie King once again that he didn't win.
I mean, Chris Wells, he's just unbelievable on a pit bike, isn't he? Jamie King said it best when we got it this weekend. He said, look, I'm lapping Rowrah 4-5 tenths faster than I ever have. He said he's racing the best he has in absolute years. But Chris Wells is just better, and he just can't beat him. And, well, just goes to show how good the reigning champion is, and there is a reason that he's the reigning champion. Chris Wells takes yet another victory here at Rowrah. I believe that's 6 from 6 here this weekend in total as well. So a double hat-trick for the reigning champion. Unreal stuff at both rounds 4 and 5. Jamie King finishes P2 on the 76. Keaton PAYNE ultimately held onto that podium. Bailey Lawrence, whether that was an issue with the bike, we're not sure, but she ended up finishing P4. Rory Jones P5, and the last of our finishes. Only a 5-bike race, unfortunately, but one that was entertaining from start to finish. The pit bikes then, they are done for Rowrah, which is a big shame. It's been very fun watching them go around here, as it always is. But of course, they'll be back in a few weeks when we head to Clay Pigeon.